Well, hello, folks. What do you say we begin this thing? I'm Tom Joles, along with Mari Bennett, and you are about to see a guy by the name of Steve Comedina. He's the pilot of the Great Expectations balloon. There he is.
And you're about to meet a number of guests this morning. We have all kinds of interesting people stopping by. Dr. George Fishback. We have the governor stopping by this morning. We have all kinds of people to talk about what a wonderful balloon fiesta this is going to be.
Dr. George Fishback.
Yes. Steve, let's talk to you now. Steve is the secretary of the Albuquerque International Balloon
That's
Fiesta.
right.
And has the stork balloon. And that's probably how you know Steve best, because you see that big stork every year.
Yeah, and he'll be here again this year.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
we're looking forward to seeing that. We should mention that there are some new things this year, aren't there? Can you
There
tell us
really
about
are.
those?
Yeah, there's a couple of changes. One, the parade that's normally on Saturday is switched over to Sunday. So tomorrow at noon, not today, will be the parade that starts at the fairgrounds, goes down Central, and ends at the university.
Why the change?
I don't know.
I stumped you.
Now, explain this first wave deal. We heard our pilot, Craig Kennedy, saying he was going up in the first wave, and you're going to do that too.
Right.
Now, to the folks out there who aren't really familiar with the whole situation,
Well, you know, we have over 600 balloons, and there are not 600 launch sites. And so we take the balloons off in waves. The first wave is the first fourth of the balloons, which will all inflate, take off, and as soon as they've taken off, then the second group, second wave, will start inflating. They'll take off, and it keeps going until the last group of balloons are off the field.
now what we're seeing now is cold inflation of the first wave, correct?
That's right. You know, the balloons are cold inflated first to get as much air inside, and then heat's added, which causes them to rise.
And pretty soon, this place is going to be the most colorful couple of acres in the entire country, in fact, in the entire world.
How exciting is it for you to fly in the Balloon Fiesta each year?
It's exciting. It's always exciting. This is my 11th Fiesta.
Really?
Yeah, and it's always exciting. I haven't been able to sleep for the last 2 nights, and it wasn't because I was delivering babies. It was because my adrenaline was pumping, and could hardly wait to get out here this morning. The weather's great. Isn't it beautiful?
It really is. You know, you mentioned sleep. How do you continue to get up year after year, every morning like you do? Not every single morning of the year, but you get up a lot of mornings darn early. How do you motivate yourself?
What I usually do is I turn the heater off on the waterbed when I go to bed the night before, and it gets cold about 3:30, and that makes me get up.
So you have no choice.
That's right.
All right. And in case you've ever wondered what it is like to go up in one of these balloons, we're going to give you a chance in a couple of minutes. One of our employees, Craig Kennedy, our 10 o'clock producer, has a balloon out here, and I guess he's in the first wave, which means he'll be going up soon, and we have a camera in that gondola, so you'll be able to take a trip up.
It is a glorious morning, and the winds are not a problem, as we
Not at all.
had thought, although we must give credit to Bill Eisenhood.
I don't know if we can give credit to Bill Eisenhood, but we should probably compliment him on his call.
That's what I meant. I didn't.
Well, I thought maybe you were saying, Bill, we're going to thank you for providing these perfect weather
You
conditions.
know I like Bill a lot. I do not think he's God.
He's close to God, but he's not God, is he? There you can see the KOB-TV Channel 4 balloon that we talked about earlier. The pilot is our own, Craig Kennedy.
It's going to be a gorgeous day for a liftoff. I think we're going to be able to get all 600. You said 30. I heard 623 balloons, to be precise.
Don't be so darn picky, Mari. I heard 630, you heard 623, whatever. We have a lot of balloons out here this morning.
It's a record-setting amount, and of course the largest in the world. We all know that. And I imagine we'll probably have record crowds this year, too, because of the media attention that we get nationwide and worldwide this time of year.
Last year we had 1.2 million people from all over the place. A lot of Europeans like to come here. Heard some German this morning as I was walking into the park.
I think we have 17 international pilots with us this year. There again is our KOB balloon. I was riding in that balloon just a week ago today.
How'd it go?
It went okay, although we all know I'm scared of heights. Why did I do this?
Well, it's something you have to do at least once in your life.
Well, that was the third time I'd done it.
Well, it's something you have to do at least 3 times in your life, as I was saying.
I kind of weaseled a ride with Craig Kennedy so that so I could check him out, make sure he's a good pilot and all that. I just, not that I really wanted to go up. Right?
No.
Actually, it was a beautiful ride, and we went over the North Valley. And if anybody's considering this, and if you're a little worried about heights, like I am, once you get up there, it's really not that big of a deal because it is so peaceful. It really feels like you're sitting in the air. Tom, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to help our balloon meister here. There we go.
Hard to get the kids dressed in the morning.
Well, look at this. All the predictions of wind. No problem. How exciting.
It's Albuquerque. The weather never comes true here.
So everything looks like it's going well this morning.
We're going well. In about 3 or 4 minutes, we'll have the national anthem and our cannon balloon. Balloon of the day will take off, and then we're going to be in the mass ascensions.
Any thoughts about this year's Balloon Fiesta?
They're all exciting. This is probably especially exciting. It's the 20th year they've done it. Something the last 20 years has got some staying power, I would expect.
For folks who don't know what a Balloon Meister does, what does a Balloon Meister do?
I've been asking a lot of people that this morning, and I haven't.
What should I be
found out
doing, you're
yet.
asking
Yes, what
now?
should I be doing? Well, I'm walking up and down concession row and talking to all the nice people. The Balloon Meister is in charge of all the flying events on the field. My staff is in charge of launch directing, safety, propane, field judges. So we're basically the flight operations side of the house.
So you're a very important person. You're supposed to be telling these pilots what to do, but you're sitting here.
Well,
I take it you have some assistants.
I've already told them that it's time to go fly, and that the weather was nice, and we've cleared the field for flying this morning, and I turn it over to 100 other people, and I sort of stand back and watch.
Tom and I were talking about the number of balloons here. It's record-setting. Now, we disagree on the number, and we don't want to get in a fist fight. So perhaps you can tell us the official number of balloons here this year.
632. How's that sound?
Oh!
Who was closest?
I was the closest. Thank you, Dick.
How many can we handle? I mean, we already have 4 waves to accommodate all the different balloons going up. How many can the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta?
This field is just about full.
Really? This is
Yeah,
it?
we're just about full in the field. We've got 4 balloons assigned to every launch site, and some of them have 5.
Okay.
And it just, you could keep launching balloons, but then you run out of a good flying time. The other thing that's happened is obviously in the early days you came with a pickup truck and a balloon. And if you look out now, you've got all these called Chase Commanders and big Suburbans and trailers. And I think somebody's got a moving van over there. Oh, they're setting up house, yes.
Things have changed in the last 20
there's
years.
a lot of things that take up space.
All right.
Okay.
You know what? Can you stay here for a moment?
I can stay here for a moment.
Okay.
A moment. All right. We understand that the most talkative person in New Mexico, Paul Davis, has something to say to us.
And the most energetic, Paul.
Tom and Mari, I debate that. I just think that this is a wonderful event. It is a mega event. It rivals the Indy 500. It rivals the Rose Bowl parade, right, Craig?
Amen. It's a wonderful event. The largest ballooning event in the world.
This is Craig Kennedy. Again, he is a news producer at Channel 4. We have also handpicked him to drive, to run, to steer Channel 4's balloon, to fly Channel 4's balloon.
And I couldn't be happier. It's a wonderful event, and I'm so happy that we're out here. I just learned a lesson in crowd control. When you're on the front line, everyone's right here. It really takes some eyes and ears to keep an eye and make sure that nobody gets hurt, because that's the key, safety.
All right, now, Craig, you are in the first wave.
First wave, I need to go ahead and get inflated. A number of the balloons are already standing up.
Now, how long can you stay in this position with your balloon almost ready to go? I mean,
No problem here, as long as my little fan has some gasoline. And actually, the longer I stay on the ground, the less propane I will eventually use just to keep the aircraft full of air or hot air while everyone's waiting to go. Because the launch directors are going to take everyone off in sequence so that we don't crash into one another. Another safety measure.
I should mention that this is in your family.
It is in my family. My father came down here for his first ride 10 years ago. They say the first ride's free, the next one costs you $12,000. We're hooked.
All right, Craig Kennedy, I'll let you get back to it.
Thank you.
Tom and Mari, he is Channel 4's finest. He is flying the Channel 4 balloon this morning. We'll check back with him a little bit later.
Well, you know, speaking of starts, you just saw the cannon balloon take off. That is the first balloon in the mass ascension.
It's now on the left of your screen a little bit.
Becky Shipley is here. She's Miss New Mexico. And let me just go briefly through her bio sheet. She was born in Tucumcari in 1970 and graduated from high school there in '89 and is now a junior at the University of New Mexico. That means she's a Lobo.
I'm a Lobo, but this semester I had to take off classes for a semester because the pageant was September 14th, and I was so late, I didn't want to mess up my GPA, so I took off a semester, and I'll go back in January.
Now, what are your duties as Miss New Mexico other than visiting with us?
I make appearances throughout the state, and I go to the other pageants where they are having their Queens contestants from there. And so far this year, Albuquerque is going to have a pageant in the Miss New Mexico, so we will have a Miss Albuquerque, possibly two, depends upon how many girls decide to run.
Tell us about your schedule as Miss New Mexico. Are you busy almost every weekend?
Oh gosh, yes, but I love it. We get to go to all kinds of events. I did miss the whole Enchilada Festival this weekend down in Las Cruces, but other than that, I go to a lot of events in Hobbs as well as throughout the whole state, in Tucumcari and up here in Albuquerque.
Okay, Becky, we're going to ask you to sit here with us for just a second, but now we have to go to our ever-energetic Paul Davis.
We just had to move the Channel 4 balloon. Craig, is this a problem when you have other balloons inflating around you?
Always. You've got an entire different weather pattern here because what little breeze you have is now moving around a bunch of different obstacles. It's coming from all different directions.
You are moments away from going up as part of the first wave. KOB-AM may have the governor's wife, but we have
Eric Johnson.
Eric Johnson. Not the famous one. In our hearts, you are famous, Eric. Eric, you are going to be bringing live pictures to the folks' television sets. Would you explain how that happens?
Yeah, I have my camera here, and it's connected to a portable microwave unit, and we send the signal back to the truck, and the truck sends it to the station.
Yeah, here he is.
I want to get out of here.
I would like to be able to walk back this way just a little bit, and I'll be happy to take off for you whenever you're ready.
We'll be with Craig again as soon as he gets ready to go off. Tom and Mari, back to you.
Hey, Paul, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Mari.
You remember the first time you went up in a balloon?
It was 2 years ago. I was scared for a couple of years. I wasn't going to do it. And after I did it, I said to myself, what was I afraid of?
I remember when he first went up in a balloon, and you were kind of screaming, Paul.
Yeah, well, I always scream because I want to be heard.
Does he want to be heard? We could hear Paul from 500 feet up screaming.
Thanks, Polly.
Thank you.
There's our KOB balloon. Look at
Piloted
that.
by our own Craig Kennedy. Everything is moving along just beautifully, but to tell you the truth, every year I've been here, and it's been 4 years, everything has gone well.
Isn't that pretty?
Lovely. That's a live shot.
That is a really pretty shot from up in the balloon, and now we've got a shot here from off the set.
630 balloons this year, 632 to be exact, right, Mari?
Mm-hmm.
And we have, what, about 200,000 people out here today on the first day? I think that's what we had last year, so I'm thinking it's about the same number this year.
We had 200,000 people out in the field, and I think we had about 500,000 cars driving in. I'm not sure how that works, but that's what it seemed to happen. There we go. Another shot from our balloon. Look at that. Just beautiful shots. Hey, there's a polar bear.
There it is.
Someone who knows
sticking out.
a lot about beautiful shots is Ron Berman. He has been the official photographer for the Balloon Fiesta.
Yeah, we did the official photography for about, I guess, 14 years, more or less. This year we're just commercial, doing all of our regular accounts and that type of thing.
And I know Tom loves your visit because Tom loves cameras, and you have all these different cameras and all these different lenses, and these guys can get so technical.
I'm worried about your posture, Ron. Every year I see you, you're stooped a little bit more from carrying around all your stuff.
I'm about 1.5 inches shorter than I was in high school. It just everything keeps shrinking.
You know, people probably wonder, why does this fella have to carry around so much equipment? You've got obviously different films in all those different cameras and different lenses.
Yeah, it's different points of view, different films, a lot of different things. The stuff I'm shooting a great deal of now is large format instead of 35 millimeter. 2 cameras I've got today that I'm using mostly are what they call 6x9. Shoots a negative that's 2 1/4 by 3 3/8.
That is large.
You know, I don't think that our photographers can do any wrong. If you see our coverage every year, every shot is beautiful. But a lot of people come out here and think they're getting great shots with their own little cameras, not the ones like you have, but just their little cameras. And then they go home and they have it developed, and then they see, okay, that wasn't so good after all.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to get too many balloons into the shot. They look at the sky, they see the sky full of balloons, they take a shot, they get it home, and it ends up being a lot of little dots on the final print. And it usually works a lot better if you try and get something real large, close, to kind of bring your focus in, and then let it trail off and see the other balloons behind.
There's one of the world balloons.
Sid Cutter's balloon?
Sid Cutter started this Balloon Fiesta, he and a couple other folks, 20 years ago. We are celebrating the 20th anniversary. He now has a World Balloon Corporation and takes people up for rides.
What's interesting is this whole thing started because Sid Cutter wanted to throw a birthday party for his mother.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Gathered a few people together. It was also a party for KOB radio and TV.
Right. Anniversary party.
Mm-hmm.
We also have another person on set. with a very famous last name of Anderson, and he's been sitting here patiently waiting to talk to us.
Okay, what were your memories of your, I mean, your dad made history.
Well, flying across the Atlantic, it was a lot of, it was a lot of excitement, a lot of tension, a lot of focus on attention on what was going on. It was a long time ago. Seems like now.
Do you remember what you told your dad before he took off?
Well,
was he telling you
it was
things?
kind of a hectic takeoff. They were dumping sand on top of us as we were running underneath the balloon, and we were just screaming good luck and playing the national anthem. I notice a lot of the balloons today have flags flying under them. It's kind of nice to see the a little bit of renewed patriotism.
Yeah.
Wars tend to do that, don't they?
Yeah.
Our KOB pilot, Craig Kennedy, is wired for sound. He's up there right now, and he has some words of wisdom and some other things for us. Craig?
Good morning. How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
I can't tell you how fantastic this is. I've been here as a spectator. I've flown as second pilot, and I've looked forward to this day, and I'm getting up here, and it's so unreal. It's fantastic.
Is that your burner we're hearing?
I'm sorry, that was the burner. I had no idea what you just said.
Okay, no, I just wanted to check to see if that was the burner, and
Yes,
we do want you to burn the burner because we don't want you crashing into the ground, Craig.
Thank you. Little
So it
detail to
looks
take
good.
care of here. Got to fly the balloon. I think we found a nice little place where there's almost real dead calm, and we don't seem to have any wind blowing us around. We can get a nice shot of the field and just stay put.
Good. Speaking of the field, have you counted how many people are down there, Craig?
I'm not real good at counting. I'm sorry.
Time now to check in with our Paul Davis. Paul, what's going on?
Tom and Mari, I have hooked along here side with the budget balloon. This is Pat Cannon. Pat, we just had, I thought, a hairy situation. Describe to the folks what happened.
Well, the wind has shifted a little bit. We laid out at first on the wind line, and it came around 180 degrees. So it tries to blow the balloon over top of the basket. And on the inflation that time, we had a couple people let go at the top where we had them holding down, and the balloon kind of blew back over the top of us. But this crew is experienced. They've been with us for several years now, and they saved it. They got the balloon back upright, and gave me an opening big enough to put the heat back in.
I was hoping our TV interview wires weren't getting in the way. I'm going to ask Serge to pan up to this balloon. Tom and Mari, I want you to look at the various colors in this balloon. And Pat, give us there's a line of balloons that are like this.
Yes, we had Rainbow Connection was our first balloon, and we followed that up with Pot of Gold, and then Double Rainbow, and this is the latest of the balloons. It's called Rainbow Twist.
Every color in the rainbow, I got to believe that.
Every color in the rainbow.
Last question, you were telling me that the box is just perfect today. Tell the folks at home, really explain what it means, the box.
Well, the box means that we can go up and over the field and back down toward the field again. So it goes off to the south, up at altitude, goes back to the north, and then as you can see here, people are going over the top of the field and coming back down to box back into the field. It's a wonderful day for flying.
And I know I keep hitting this, but you were just beaming about the conditions today.
Oh, they're gorgeous, just gorgeous. You couldn't ask for a nicer start.
All right, well, the Balloon Meister told us that you'd be a few minutes from launching. We wish you the best of luck. No passengers today?
I've got passengers. I'm just waiting to get them in.
All righty. Well, good luck to them. Good luck to you, Pat. Tom and Mari, I think I'm getting itchy to go up on one of these things again.
Really? I'd
Yeah.
like to hear that, Paul, because you get so darn excited.
Well, it's something to be excited about.
You're right.
The
Maybe
polar
we'll have to
bears.
send you up.
The bear's up there.
There it is. Hey, one of the most excited people out here is KOB's Craig Kennedy. He's up in the KOB balloon, and we're going to talk to him now. Craig, how's it going?
How could you tell I was excited, Tom? I just can't believe it. I just had to change the fuel tank. I guess we've been flying maybe 20 minutes or so, and I've exhausted one of 4 10-gallon tanks of propane. Hold on just a moment. So what I did was I unhooked one of my hoses, and I put it back. I hooked up the hose to another tank, and now I'm opening the valve on that. Very important to check it. Let's test and see if it works. Hey, we got another 30 minutes of flight time.
Okay, now this is all standard procedure. This is what you
Very
do
much
during a
so.
flight. We're not worried here that you've got some problem with your tanks or
No,
something.
ma'am, no problem. We are starting to get a few more balloons that are wanting to begin flying underneath us, so I think I'm going to start to go up and use a little bit of that box effect.
All right, do that, Craig. Craig, I have a question.
Fire.
Is there anything that makes you happier than ballooning?
I don't think I could find anything, at least for the next 9 days.
Especially since your wife is your crew chief. That probably
I am
helps.
so
huh?
happy to have my wife here. This is very much a family thing.
All right, Craig, we'll check back with you in a little bit. It looks great from up there. Tell Eric hello. He's doing a wonderful job getting the shots from your balloon.
I think he's a great passenger. He's real easy to get along with.
All right.
Great.
We'll check back with you later. Right now we have another guest on the set with us. This is Kathy Erdman, and you are with the concessions, the official concessions.
Yes.
Here, and my gosh, we have T-shirts. We've got what else?
Pins and patches. We have keychains, video, official history video this year.
Right, that's this.
We have sweatshirts.
Mm-hmm.
And we have little Christmas ornaments. We have a real variety of souvenirs.
Now, you represent the official
Yes.
concession. Are there unofficial ones here?
No, there
Okay.
shouldn't be any unofficial ones here. Let me put it that way.
All right.
Okay, and now what's the most popular thing, would you say, of all the different things that you sell?
Special Shapes Rodeo are very popular, especially the pins. And the pilots that come in here with the special shaped balloons bring their pins for us to sell for them, and that helps defray their expenses.
Oh,
come
okay.
in. So we have the Santa Claus, and we have the rabbit and the cow. We have almost all of them. The
Okay.
bear, we have the bear.
Okay, we've been seeing a lot of special shapes this
We're
year.
really up. And now, this year, we're going to see a new shape. It's the United New Mexico Miss Piggy? Is that
Yeah,
right?
Miss Piggy Bank.
She's right here inflating.
Right,
Ah,
she's
she
in
looks
front
good,
of the
too.
set. You can't see that. You're looking at us, but there we go.
There it is.
Now, is that something that you think the pin's probably going to be very popular on that one?
I think it will probably be a real popular pin. Everybody's had a lot of interest in it.
We should mention there's a lot of pin trading that goes on here,
Yes.
too.
Lots. It's a big hobby out here for a lot of people.
Ah, look at that. That's the view from the KLB balloon looking toward the Sandias.
Each year, does the concession, the souvenir business get bigger and bigger?
It gets bigger and bigger every year. It was a real wild morning in there today, and we managed. I think we did okay.
Kathy, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Good luck in your selling.
Thanks.
All right.
Now we're going to check in with Paul Davis, who is out on the field. Paul, what's going on in your area of the world?
Mari, Tom, I have wanted to do this on this telecast for 3 years. This is what it's like when the balloon is being inflated. The fan, this is how powerful it is. Did you see that? I can hardly breathe. With me now live is Wayne. Wayne
Shelton, yeah.
that's a heck of a fan you got there.
That's a small one, too.
That's a small one?
Yeah, very small, very small.
Tell us about your balloon.
It's called, mine was Rainbow. Okay, my name is Wayne. Rainbow, Rainbow, do you get it?
I
My
get
wife's
it.
name's Myra. Myra, you get it?
I'm dense, but I'm not that dense.
Okay, good. So mine was Rainbow. This is it.
You're moments away from going up. You've been here many years.
7 years, yes, yes.
Can you ever remember a better day?
No, it's perfect. Absolutely perfect day. Can't wait to get up.
Are you a little mad at the TV weathercasters who scared you for a couple of days?
I don't listen to them.
Well, we got two of the best.
I know it.
Thank you very much. Sure. All right, Tom and Mari, from one nice guy to a couple of nice people. Back to you guys.
Well, thank you very much, Paul.
Isn't that nice of him?
What a great guy. There are people from all over the world, from the Soviet Union, from England, France, Mexico, Japan, you name it, they're here, and for good reason. This is the premier balloon fiesta in the world.
We'll be happy to be bringing you Skyward 91 this morning. I'm Mari Bennett, my 7th year doing this. Tom Joles, his 4th year, you know, and we never get tired of it. It is just so beautiful out here this
Definitely
morning.
one of the highlights of our year. It really puts New Mexico in a good light.
Look at that. Each year it seems we see balloons that we haven't seen before. As this gets more attention around the world, more pilots, more spectators. It's getting big, but we were talking with the Balloon Meister earlier today, and he was saying that he doesn't know that we can handle too many more balloons. But you know
Well,
what,
you know,
Tom?
they've been talking about moving this to a different location, and we have to find someone who can tell us what the status is on that.
Well, yeah, and another point I was going to bring up is every year they say, you know, this is so big, I don't know that we can handle any more. And each year we manage to squeeze a few more balloons onto the field. A record this year.
632 balloons. We're going to have at least 1.2 million people. You wonder why they call it the big one? That's the reason.
And we have our own Channel 4 balloon in the air, piloted by news producer Craig Kennedy. We've been seeing shots from that. He's pretty high up just a few minutes ago. Seemed like he has a great view.
He's a very happy camper because he's in the box, the Albuquerque box, and just keeps him going around and around, and that makes him ecstatic.
There's the symbol of the state of New Mexico on your screen.
The Zia.
I think we're supposed to check in with Paul Davis now. Is that the case?
Yes, it is the case. First of all, you've heard of James Bond? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Wayne Bond. Hi, Wayne.
Hi, Wayne Bond, flying United New Mexico's new latest edition of the family, Miss Penny.
Now, this is a special shapes balloon. Going to be a favorite this year, don't you think?
Oh yeah, it's good. It flies nice. It flies just about like a 105, a little less reaction time, but it's a very good flying balloon. Gentlemen, I have to go. The launch says get out of here.
There he goes.
Look at that. That's the new balloon Paul was just talking about.
Pretty in pink, isn't it?
It's really fun to hear the cheers. When the Klondike polar bear went up earlier, you can just hear the cheers. People are screaming and waving, and they're so excited to watch the launch. Mike Taylor is our guest now on the set, and you are an official judge.
Field judge, right.
What does that mean?
Field judge. Well, during the week they have competition, and we have 4 targets this year, one in each direction, about 1.5 miles, 2 miles from the field, and then there are also targets on the field.
Okay.
The pilots throw birdseed bags from the gondolas at these targets, and it's our responsibility to score them to make sure who gets the closest.
Oh, what
They
fun.
have competition to the extent that they have people who they are sponsored by each and different people, and they have prizes for the people every day, and they give them awards, and then the scores are accumulated through the week, and then at the awards banquet, whoever has the largest score gets the big prizes at the end of the week.
And some of these prizes are great, aren't they, Mike?
Yes, they really are.
Tell us about them.
Well, in several years past, they have had brand new balloons given away.
Wow.
One year they even gave away a trip to Europe. I'm not sure exactly what the prizes are this year, but I think it'll be just as exciting and just as much fun. And the people here that fly these balloons are very keen on wanting to have them score as well as they possibly can. They do everything they can to get as close as these targets as they possibly
You
can.
see people doing all kinds of last-minute maneuvers?
Oh, yes.
Although
And
you
of course,
can't really maneuver a balloon.
Well, we're open until 10 o'clock.
Okay.
They start right at, we have different waves, and the ones that take off from the field go to the targets that are laid off the field. And then once these balloons take off, then they set up targets on the field, and they have balloons that take off from the field to come to the targets on the field.
Okay.
And each one of them that are on the targets that are on this field are usually sponsored by a large company that will allow them to get a special prize for that race. It's a different sponsor each year.
You know, I always marvel at how people get these positions here at the Fiesta. There's the balloon meister, and there are field judges.
Yes.
How does one get that job?
It's all volunteer, and I've been doing it. This will be my 9th year to do it, and we've had a good time doing it. We always have a good time. I think that's the most enjoyable thing. I started just out of on a lark, really. Someone asked me to come fill in for them because they had planned to do it that year and couldn't, and so they asked me if I was interested, and I said sure, and I've been doing it ever since. And it is all volunteer, and then they ask you to come back every year if you want to do it.
All right.
The most popular competition is probably the key grab, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Yes.
And that one, you don't really have to do too much judging. I mean, they just swing by and grab
we
the
are
keys.
doing on that day, really, and even on the weekends, we really don't have anything to do except if they want to call it crowd control. That's basically all we can do, and it help in any way we can.
But for the key grab, it's not just grabbing the key. You have to follow some rules, right?
Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, the pilots are looking to grab this year. I think there are 5 poles, and not only are they going to be grabbing for a key, but they also will have prizes as well on the other poles, and they probably will give them all the prizes away this year rather than having just one key grab like they have in the past.
Oh, I see.
Are there any restrictions on the length of a person's arm when it comes to this key grab?
As long as they have their feet on the floor of the gondola, then they're in good shape.
So if we want to bring in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, we can do that?
There you go.
That would work real
Smart
well.
man. But the weekends are strictly for fun, just mass ascension, just no competition. We're all just here to have
We're here to see all these marvelous balloons, and it's always amazing. As many years as you tell people about it, you really can't recognize what a thrill it is until you come out and see it yourself.
Mike Taylor, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Okay, you have a good week with all the competitions.
Thanks a lot. You too.
That's Mike Taylor, field judge here at the Balloon Fiesta.
Look at the skies this morning. Look at the balloons. You really couldn't ask for a better first day.
And you couldn't ask for a better person to be out in the field to talk to us, a better person than our own Paul Davis. Paul?
Tom and Mari, I'm trying to find interesting, colorful people, and I think I've hit the jackpot. Behind me, this guy's getting more kisses than Monty Hall. Chauncey, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Chauncey, my first question is, you've got to be the only guy wearing. Come over here. Let the sun bother you for a minute. You got to be the only guy wearing a helmet and a tie.
Would you tell U.S. West that for me, please?
You mean U.S. West has been giving you some problems about safety?
Not about safety. No, wearing the tie. We can do without the tie.
I like the tie. It's kind of classy. You are flying today.
Western Spirit.
And this is the balloon that's got.
This is, let's see, 8 cowboys, 42 feet high. They're all from the Monument Valley. They're real people. And as luck would have it, none of them have seen the balloon.
Well, Chauncey, I noticed you're wearing the helmet as well, along with your crew members. Why?
Well, it's just, they say you have to carry helmets on board. And
they do? Is that a rule? Oh, you're sponsored.
But no, there is a regulation on it. But when the winds really pick up, that's no time to really be putting helmets on. So I've just done it since day one.
You're the first pilot I've ever seen.
That's a warning.
You're getting all kind of kisses from people. Would you explain that?
Oh, hey, I've been around just awful long.
Well, let's talk about that. This thing's 20 years old now, and you go way back.
Well, I'm back 22 years, which isn't a whole long time, but it's been great. Been a great sport.
Has it grown the way you'd like to see it grow?
Well, yes, very definitely, because it's a people sport. The flying is just a beautiful part of it, but if you don't like people, you're not going to like ballooning.
Just to give the people an idea of how excited you are after 22 years, Chauncey is in the third wave, and he still has. The balloon guy just came over and said...
Well, I knew you wanted to see the balloon, I just put it up, because that's really some gorgeous artwork up there. It's very similar to a Remington. 2,755 hours of hand painting. So it's truly a piece of art.
So don't you do anything wrong. I mean, you got to... All right, Chauncey, well, thank you very much.
And come on, U.S. West, lighten up.
Oh, my gosh.
Let Chauncey at least take his tie off.
You don't even have to wear a tie out here.
No, I don't. Not at all.
One of the first years I did this, Paul, one of the first years I did the show was 7 years ago now. I must have used Wonderful about 300 times. And I remember going back to the station and watching the tape and just cringing because, but I mean, what else can you say? It is wonderful.
You really run out of adjectives after a while.
You do.
It just seems like you never see enough of it. You can see, like the Western balloon there, Western Spirit. We've seen that for several years. And you still enjoy looking at the various caricatures on the outside of the envelope.
You bet. Let me tell you the lineup for tomorrow. As Tom said, we will be out here broadcasting live from 7 to 9 in the morning. Paul will be back out here, and Mr. Bill Eisenhood, the predictor of the good weather.
Oh, and didn't he do a good job, too?
Yes.
Earlier in the week, people were saying, oh, no, it looks like we're going to get a big one, and they weren't talking about the Fiesta. They were talking about a big one as in wind. There were concerns that it was going to be a blowout, and Bill was right on with the forecast.
You bet. So congratulations to him. We'll be able to congratulate him in person tomorrow. And we want to thank you for joining us for Skyward 91 this morning. It's been a blast.
Thanks, folks. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
After the thrill of the mass ascension, few sights can compare.
Oh, but the balloon glow is right up there. More than 300 balloons lighting up as darkness falls over Albuquerque.
From the ground or from the air, there's almost a lyrical quality to the sight. Let's take a look. Here we go, folks. Day 2 of the 1991 Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. It looks like another good one. And we've got a couple of guests with us today. To our right is Steve Comedina, the pilot of the Stork Balloon, and to our left, KOB's pilot, Craig Kennedy, the man who was waxing poetic yesterday. We loved listening to
Oh,
you.
that was so nice yesterday. You were so excited. Was this the first Fiesta that you actually piloted in?
The first is pilot in command. You guys are actually saying I'm full of hot air, aren't you?
No, not at all.
No.
You're excited about the weather conditions today, I imagine?
Not a bad day at all. A little stronger surface wind this morning. We've got some pretty decent drainage. I mean, as we're watching some of the balloons inflate this morning, you can already see that they got a little cave-in on the side, but that can happen. You'll see them actually tying off. They will harness their balloon to their chase vehicle so that it doesn't get carried away by the wind into the crowd.
So, Craig, what's the difference between attending the Fiesta, and you've flown in the Fiesta in a balloon, I imagine, but not
I have
piloting?
been here with my dad for several years and have flown, and yeah, it's a spectacle no matter how you're involved, whether you're on the ground or part of a chase crew, or I would imagine even, you know, looking out your back window from a house in the Heights. It's fantastic. But to be able to fly the first Fiesta is really an experience, and it's one that I don't know if you can prepare for in any way, shape, or form, because if you fly here year-round, you get used to flying in dense airspace. but not like this.
Well, I was going to say, is it kind of scary? You've got all these balloons around you. You've got people. You don't want to hurt the people. You don't want to bump another balloon.
Exactly. You've got a really great crew of safety officials who are out here. Now, these are all volunteers, and they help with a little bit of the crowd control, but once the balloon is inflated, they'll make certain that we don't crash into one another. They'll send them off in sequence, because the worst thing you could have happen would be a balloon go up and then all of a sudden come right back down in the crowd, or into another balloon.
We understand our Paul Davis has his voice back. Now he's ready to talk to us. Paul.
Tom and Mari and folks in television land, every year for 3 years I have promised what we are going to deliver this morning. Behind me, an outstanding woman. She is getting married this morning. Ma'am, who are you?
I am Sue Riley, and I'm from Houston, Texas.
And your groom-to-be?
His name is Riley Hetherington, spelled the same. And he's not going to be Riley Riley.
Where'd you get the idea?
He came up with it, and I said, I'll do whatever you want to do.
Is this true?
That's right, absolutely.
Look at the judge. He is grinning from ear to ear. Ladies and gentlemen, you are going to see two people pick each other out and say, yes, I'll spend my life with you. They're going to start the whole thing off in a hot air balloon. Everything else is going to have to be easy from there. Tom and Mari will keep you posted.
All right, thank you very much, Paul. We're pointing up to the sky because there's so many neat balloons up there, right, Mari?
Another great morning weather-wise. You really couldn't ask for better weather.
No, you couldn't.
Another Channel 4 personality sitting to my right, Dr. Dale Alberson. Now, you brought your kids out yesterday, two of your kids anyway.
That's right.
4 and 1?
4.5 and 1.5.
What do they think of the balloons?
Oh, they think, they're just really just fascinated by it. Jessica is 4.5, has come out here a number of times with us. This was Ariana's, who's 1.5, her first time. And I think really fascinating. They love to see that big Santa Claus balloon going up, and then that piggy bank.
Oh yeah,
the pink piggy bank. It was just fantastic.
We had our 6-month-old daughter out here yesterday, and I thought she would be just going crazy with all the balloons. And my wife said she was fast asleep about 10 minutes after she got here.
And the
but I
little
guess
backpack,
that's what happens when you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Probably true. Now, Bill Eisenhood brought his son out, and Bill, if you're listening, we need to see Charlie at some point. Charlie is how old now, would you say? A couple years?
Yeah, I would think 2 years.
And I was telling Charlie about the Miss Piggy, and he seemed very excited about it because that is the newest Special Shapes balloon.
That's the United New Mexico Hot Pink Balloon, and you will see that at the Special Shapes Rodeo later this week.
Right, Thursday and Friday at 4:30 in the afternoon, you can come out here, and there will be about 40 Special Shapes balloons that will be inflating here, and boy, that's going to be a sight for the kids.
Well, that's always one of the most popular events out here, especially, as you said, for the children. Dr. Dale, always a joy to be with you. If you watch Channel 4, folks, you see him up in the set with us once in a while, and you see him every night, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock with one of his medical reports. Do a good job.
I'll
My
be
favorite
there.
people.
Well, thank you.
Thanks,
Glad
Dale.
to be here with you.
Thanks for coming by.
Okay.
Well, day 2 of the 20th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta continues. You know what I'm surprised, Tom? I am surprised that we haven't heard Paul Davis sing Happy Birthday to the Balloon Fiesta yet, because he is always singing around the newsroom.
To tell you the truth, I'm rather happy that he hasn't sung yet. Perfect day for ballooning. You can see the balloons going up. We've got the Albuquerque box working, so they're going up, they're going out, they're going back, they're going out. With us now is Troy, and I just forgot your last name. Bradley, and he flies for Briars. And can you think of a better way to advertise your product than to have this gigantic thing floating about?
It works real well. They're very happy with it. This is the first year Briars has participated in the Balloon Fiesta, and they're excited, already plans for next year.
Now, do you tour with Briars?
Yeah, we're a national tour, coast to coast, but we are based out of Albuquerque, the balloon is.
Okay, what a great life.
Oh, I know. You know who would love that is the pilot we were just talking about, Craig Kennedy. He's a news producer at Channel 4, but he would just love to do something like that too, because you get to go all over.
Yeah, Craig's a friend of mine. I know he'd enjoy it.
So how did you work yourself into this great position?
Basically, I grew up ballooning, and when I found out someone would be willing to pay me to do it, it was all the better.
Look at that. We missed it on the screen. Just a minute ago, the Klondike Bear there and another balloon bumped into each other at seemingly fairly high speed. There's our balloon cam. We're looking down from the Channel 4 balloon.
You know, I love all the cams we have. We have a balloon cam and a crest cam and a live cam, and whatever else, but bottom line is all of these cams work together to provide some great pictures of this balloon fiesta.
So Troy, if you are based here in Albuquerque, obviously you've been here before.
Yeah, this is I think my 15th year at the Balloon Fiesta.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, do you have parents who were into ballooning?
My
Is that how you got
my
caught up in it?
grandparents were balloonists, so like I said, I grew up doing it. I got all my ratings as young as possible. I soloed when I was 14. I've been doing it commercially since I was 18 years old.
That way, your grandparents?
That's correct.
Back then, there weren't a whole lot of people ballooning.
No, there was very few, and then we skipped a generation. I actually taught my mother to fly.
Really?
Great.
Yeah.
Well, now, when are you going up today?
I'm in the third wave, so we're getting ready to get set up here real shortly.
And what we're looking at here is the end of the second wave. Those are the balloons at the south end of the field.
This is a good example of how there's more than just balloon color here. You have the crowd out there, and as we've seen all morning, there are some darn colorful people out there too.
And look at the sky today.
Oh, nice day. There's the Klondike balloon, one of the favorites with the kids, one of the special shaped balloons.
So what does your balloon look like, Troy?
It's the Breyers All Natural Ice Cream. It's a black balloon with white lettering and green leaf logo at the bottom of it, just like their packaging. It's distinctive with all these colorful balloons. The black stands out pretty well.
All right, we'll be looking for that, Troy. We appreciate the fact that you came by. Go out there and balloon, will you?
Great, thanks for having us.
You bet.
And now we're going to check in with our pilot, Craig Kennedy. Craig, are you going to wax poetic for us again today?
Well, I heard Troy say that he thought that I might like to do what he does for a living. How did he know such a thing?
You wouldn't want to leave us as our 10 o'clock producer, would you, Craig?
No, I wouldn't want to do that. Not with friendships like I've made with you guys.
Tom
In a heartbeat.
Craig. Tom mentioned earlier this is kind of a love fest because Dr. Dale's saying how much he loves working with us, and we're telling Dr. Dale, and then we're saying wonderful things about you. This is almost getting a little sick.
Little thick or sick?
Both.
Yeah, both.
How does it look?
It's fantastic. It was real fast on the ground, as you saw. I mean, everybody's bolting off the field. Just the morning drainage. It'll change. The more the sun comes up, things will start to slow down. But we're going to climb up a little bit and see if we can't box right back over the field.
That's Craig hitting his burner.
Got to do that once in a while. It won't work otherwise.
Craig, I have a question for you. It seems that some of the balloons are moving at quite high speeds as they're launching off. Not the very first few, I don't know, 30 feet or so, but as they get up further. Is the wind kind of fast today?
Yeah, there's a layer of wind just off the surface. Well, the surface is fast as well, but right above, you've got morning drainage coming down the Rio Grande Valley, and it's quick. But like I was saying a moment ago, as the sun comes up, you'll see the heating start to. It'll make the layers of air even, so that you'll have less of the fast flow on the surface, and then everybody will be able to make a nice landing. Otherwise, we're going to come scooting in.
All right, Craig, are you wearing sunglasses? Because
I'm wearing sunglasses because it's extremely bright up here.
Not because you're trying to hide the bags under your eyes?
Don't tell.
I know you guys don't get a whole lot of sleep.
Actually, I made a point of getting as much sleep as I could. The greatest cause of accidents would be lack of sleep, just people not paying attention. That's no way to do it. People are trying to fly 9 days here, and it's dangerous if they don't get enough sleep.
Hey, we've got another guest here, Mark Passan from England.
Now, we see a lot of pretty pictures of balloons all the time. We're showing you pretty pictures during our coverage, but this is very interesting. You paint balloons for a living.
Full time, yeah, nothing else.
What a life, you lucky dog.
Now, show us some. We've got one. Let's go
Okay.
ahead. I'll hold on to the. There you go.
Tell us about each one as you go through
this one's called Albuquerque Snow, and the story behind this one is I painted it in 1985, and when I came in 1986 it snowed, so it must have been some kind of premonition.
All right.
There you
This
go.
one I did for a balloon meet in Norway. It was an environmental meeting.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That is wonderful. How did you decide to go into painting balloons and only balloons full time?
Well, it kind of found me really, because I did art at college, and when I left I've always been interested in balloons, and it just evolved really over a period of time, and as I got more and more work, the things that I did before just fell by the wayside, so I just toured the world.
All right, why don't you show us your last one if you could?
The last one? Okay.
another nice one, a kid looking out a window, and there are all kinds of balloons out there. A child's world.
Definitely. Wonderful. So you come and you just remember different sights you see, or do you take a lot of pictures?
I take a lot of photographs.
Okay.
And then I try and put in a lot of my own sort of personal likes and just combine it, and you know, just a mixture of my own personality and what I see at balloon fiestas.
Okay.
That's wonderful.
Well, good luck to you, and thank
you very much.
Thanks for spreading the word about our balloon fiesta.
It's fantastic.
Okay.
I love it. It's brilliant.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Look at this, just a great day. I really am amazed at the speed, though, and I don't know if you can tell at home how quickly the balloons are moving, but they are moving very, very quickly.
Well, I can
in
tell.
that middle layer that Craig was talking about.
Yeah, there's also a layer down here in the ground that's keeping me a little chilly.
Yes.
It is colder here today than it was yesterday.
Thank goodness for gloves.
Yeah, and jackets and pants and all these other things. Thanks for joining us, folks. We're at Skyward 91 KOB's live coverage of the Balloon Fiesta. We'll be back next weekend from 7 to 9 on both Saturday and Sunday, so hope you can come back and join us again next weekend.
We have one of our reporters pointing at herself right now, sitting here thinking, maybe I should be on the scene. Roberta Romero, now you're out here reporting, and we'll see your reports later tonight?
We sure will. I've been here since about 4:30 this morning.
Goodness.
Don't complain.
I'm still trying to warm up.
I know.
We're doing this really funny story because most people are dressed like us, layers, gloves, but there are a lot of people out there in shorts. I don't understand that. No, I don't. They keep saying, well, it's going to warm up, it's going to warm up. Well, by that time, the Balloon Fiesta will be over, so, you know,
Isn't that pretty? Let me just interrupt you guys for 1 second. That's the newest Special Shapes balloon that we've been talking about the last couple of days. Very, very popular with the kids.
So what do you think, Bert?
This is exciting. You know, I was born and raised here, and I remember when there was only 13 balloons at the state fair.
Really? You remember that?
Yeah, I do. I remember when it was so small, and it was so thrilling to see 13 whole balloons. Wow.
Yeah.
And now you see 600 go up.
Isn't that funny?
And the crowd is incredible. You know, a lot of people complain about the crowd and the parking and stuff, but I think that's what's so fun.
And Roberta Romero is still with us, even though she should be out doing her news story.
I know,
young lady.
I know. I wanted to come up here, and I thought, yeah, I can finally get warm. It's colder up here.
I know, sitting right here.
It's a lot warmer when you're out there walking around.
Well, you know, Paul was showing us some food, and his son was enjoying some food. What's your favorite food now? Now, being a native here, and you've been here year after year, what's your favorite food at the Balloon Fiesta?
I always have to have a breakfast burrito, always, and a cinnamon roll, and and coffee.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. We're going to let you get out there where it's warm, and we're also going to let you chase some stories.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to go out there. So be sure to watch tonight with Emil and Greg. We're going to have lots of really nice, fun stories. And
at 5:30 and 10
5:30
tonight
and
on
10,
Channel
Emil
4.
and Greg, keep that in mind and
All right.
watch us some more. You guys will probably be home at bed.
No, we won't. Class dismissed. Thanks, Roberta.
Thanks, bye, guys.
If you're just checking in, you're watching Skyward 91, live coverage of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta on Channel 4.
Look at that. How pretty.
You know, one of these days I would like to be a spectator rather than a TV person and spend the entire morning out there just walking around. I've been here for 4 years and I've always been up here. Would you give me a day off?
If I had the power, I would. I've been doing this for 7 years up here now, and I imagine that it's changed a lot being out among the crowd. The crowds are bigger, there's more balloons. Perhaps we could sneak off next weekend just for a little while. The 20th Balloon Fiesta, can you believe it?
The first one back in 1971.
Those subtraction skills are working well for you, Tom.
Yeah, it's pretty early, Mari.
8:28, live coverage from Balloon Fiesta Park. And a reminder that we will be out here live again next weekend from 7 to 9, both Saturday and Sunday. And as Roberta Romero was telling you, all kinds of great stories tonight with Emil and Greg, and also throughout the week. We have the balloon glow to cover today. We also have the parade to cover. My gosh, all kinds of things happening.
There you can see some of the pilots getting ready to take their balloons into the skies. You know, all the pilots who fly at the Fiesta must hold a private or commercial license.
You know, the most often violated rule is an FAA standard that requires balloons to fly at least 1,000 feet above ground level in populated areas, and sometimes pilots drop below that. They can, of course, drop below it to land, but they're not supposed to fly lower than that.
Craig Kennedy, he works with us. He is our 10 o'clock producer at Channel 4. He's up there right now. He's the man in the Foster Grants.
Would you like me to take them off? Does that help a little bit?
Craig, how's it look?
It's fantastic. We were up about 4,000 feet off the surface, so what would that be, 9,000 feet? It was fun. Thought that we'd just come back down here, see if we can't cruise over to Renaissance Center, maybe do a little landing, and trade out, do some passengers.
Craig, how long have you been doing this, piloting?
Piloting is piloting command, all of about 5 months, and learning, training, 10 years. That's quite a little while as a student pilot.
You can hit your burner.
I'm sorry?
I was telling you to go ahead and hit your burner because I could tell you were itching to do so.
Actually, we're not too bad. We were falling at about 700 foot a minute. That's an interesting feeling as you're coming down like an elevator.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the balloon starts to go a little bit sideways and you're getting into a different pattern of air. You become a special shape.
Craig, we keep talking to you, but we should also tell the folks that ballooning is a family affair for you, and your wife is involved in this whole deal, isn't she?
She is involved. In fact, she's in her student pilot training right now, and Jane has about 12 hours, so technically she would be ready. But she's got a little bit more training to do, and she's just enjoying the process. Only problem is when we get 2 pilots in the family, who do you think's going to get the chase crew? Probably my pretty wife.
Yes. Time for us to call it a morning. Sure has been fun, folks.
Be sure to join us again next weekend from 7 to 9 in the morning. For Paul Davis, Tom Joles, Bill Eisenhood out there somewhere, I'm Mari Bennett. You have a great Sunday.
See ya.
Look, up in the sky, is it a pink pig or a giant peanut?
It's both, plus lots more. When the sky is filled with what looks like a giant Disney movie, there's only one explanation.
The Special Shapes Rodeo. Now this is where physics, a sense of humor, and some very vivid imaginations combine to produce some of the strangest identifiable flying objects you'll ever see.
Go ahead and rub your eyes now.
Are you ready? That is a polar bear, and a tennis shoe, and a dinosaur, and even Santa Claus?
collect pigs, and it's really neat. We took a lot of pictures of it.
I think my favorite balloon is a tractor. It's so big and awkward. It's amazing to figure out how it flies.
The dinosaur is probably about the biggest. They're all wonderful.
The balloon that I've liked the best has been the witch, because she's got so much detail to her with her teeth and her hands and the little snake and everything. That's been my favorite.
I've never seen the Statue of Liberty before. That's a new one that I really like a lot.
My favorite balloon shape out here is the saguaro cactus. Afraid I don't know what he's really called. These days I live in Florida, but I was raised in Arizona, so that makes me think of the Southwest, and that's why it's my favorite balloon.
I like Santa Claus. Santa Claus is one of my favorite time of years, and so I just love the Santa Claus one.
There's no question. Tyrannosaurus Rex. Why is Tyrannosaurus Rex my favorite? Because I think dinosaurs are fascinating. They're big creatures, and this is one of the biggest balloons you've got, I think.
Welcome back. Look at that. The first wave of the mass ascension lifting beautifully into the skies over Albuquerque.
Oh, and it is so nice out here today. The weather's perfect. Someone told me a little earlier we have the Albuquerque box, so things are really going well. Obviously, for the last 7 days or so, we've been talking about the Balloon Fiesta, and on our news one night, I think it was last Friday, we had some video of the original balloonist from the Fiesta back in '71, and of course we saw you. That must have been a thrill for you.
I saw some of it in the lead-in there, yeah. Hey, don't have as much gray hair then as I did now.
Now, we see your world balloons up in the air. These are the ones that you take people as passengers?
Yes, we use them for everything. We have some generic balloons also for the ride business, and but we use the world balloon for promotion and rides and just about everything.
And we should make it clear that you're the founder of the Albuquerque Aerostat Ascension Association. Long name for a group, big group, isn't it?
Yes, it's the largest balloon club in the world, we think. Well, it must be, because we know all the ones in the free world, and the other ones don't have very many balloons.
That's right.
On the screen here, we're seeing the first wave of the mass ascension. Did you ever dream it would be so big?
Well, your dream keeps getting bigger as you see a few of them. We didn't think that first World Championship with 114 balloons was going to be all that big either, but the more we saw it, the more we wanted it to be even larger, and the crowds were bigger every year and things. So I'm waiting for it to be 1,000 balloons.
You think it should still keep growing? I know some pilots are concerned about having too many balloons.
Well, you know, the sky's pretty big up there. There's a lot of room for a lot more.
You know, I must think, or I would imagine that you have to feel awfully proud when you come out here
I do.
On these weekend mornings in October.
These folks around here give me a lot more credit than I got coming. But it makes you feel awful good that you got it started, and it's a good thing for Albuquerque, and I'm pleased that it's happened.
It is a great thing for Albuquerque. We were talking about a statistic last week. 1 out of every 6 or 7 balloons in the world is here during Balloon Fiesta.
I wouldn't be surprised. Of course, the ratio used to be a lot higher because there wasn't that many balloons. But Albuquerque is considered the mecca of ballooning, everybody is either going to be here or has already and coming back.
Well, if it's the Mecca, it's partially because of you, and I tell you, we appreciate it because we love being out here in early October.
And pretty soon, can we start calling you the great-grandfather of ballooning?
Yes, if I last so long enough.
There you see the Pepsi can. We've been talking a lot about special shapes during the week on News 4, and the special shapes, of course, cost more than your average balloon. I had read somewhere that a can like that costs about $35,000.
Yes.
Some of the bigger ones, maybe like the cow jumping over the moon. You have any estimate on that, Sid?
Oh, I imagine they're closer to $85,000, $90,000.
Goodness.
The tractor, which I flew yesterday and the day before, I would guess that that's somewhere in the $100,000 category. They're pretty complicated when they get that wild. A lot of engineering and a lot of fabric.
Tell us what it's like to land something like that tractor.
Well, it's like sitting on the front porch and flying your house.
Good analogy.
Not an easy job. There's another balloon that could be a little difficult to fly.
Oh, yes. Well, it's more of a balloon, though, than some of them.
Right.
And when they're nice and fat like that, they fly pretty good, really. It's when they've got all these appendages and get a little out of balance that makes it more difficult. Or long and slender. For instance, the bottle shapes don't fly as well as these nice fat ones.
So there's a plus to being fat once in a while, isn't there?
Were you ever worried, Sid, that Albuquerque would lose the Balloon Fiesta? I know we got to a point where financially you folks who started it, you and some other people just said, you know, wait a minute, we can't do this anymore.
Well, throughout the United States, I've been to a lot of first annuals, and that happens quite a bit because they find out that without the volunteers, in other words, you can't do it as a private enterprise. It takes a lot of volunteers. It takes a non-profit type outfit to put on a festival like this. Maybe if it was now became a private enterprise, you could do it, but it still takes a lot of volunteers, which don't get paid, or they don't get much anything except the privilege of being out here, I guess.
Sid, this sport just keeps on growing. How big can it get? Are we going to have a balloon in every other garage pretty soon?
I don't think that's because they are about as expensive as an automobile, and so that's pretty expensive for a toy.
But we all have automobiles, don't we?
Yeah, but of course you use the automobile for more than that. They get pretty inexpensive to operate once you have them, but that first initial expense is much. And, you know, it takes about 4 people to handle a balloon. If you have 24, it's that much more fun. So I think a few balloons will spread to a lot of people.
All right.
I was mentioning last weekend to Tom that this is the 7th year I've done this Balloon Fiesta coverage for Channel 4. And every year I think I tell the story that I took my first balloon ride with Sid Cutter, so this wouldn't be a complete year if I didn't tell the story again. I was white-knuckled, I was scared to death, and you and your wife were so gracious.
You think you were white-knuckled?
They didn't want to lose you, Mari.
Well, you know what? We're going to let you get going because we know you've got to get your balloons
Thank you very much. Yes, I do. I'm the next wave, so this one's going to be going any second, so I better get started.
Well,
Thank you very much
congratulations
for
and have a great year.
Put that pin on so everybody
Will
knows
do.
about World Balloon.
You know, if you've been watching our coverage, you know that this has truly become an international event. Joining us now, Mark Lissamore. He's from Kenya.
Welcome. Is this your first year here?
My first year, my first trip to Albuquerque.
And your impressions of our grand city?
It's great. It's living up to all the expectations I had.
What were those expectations?
The big Fiesta, 600 balloons, lots of flying, nice skies, and it's just everything I thought it would be.
Why did you decide to come here?
Well, I've been to the States several times flying balloons, mostly in Colorado. I have friends that come here every year, and I'm with them. I've come as a second pilot of their balloon.
Tell us about the status of ballooning in Kenya.
We're flying large balloons for the tourists in the Masai Mara Game Reserve. We're taking 240s and 300 size balloons, 1,000 cubic foot balloons, 10 or 12 people at a time, across the elephants, the wildlife, and down towards Serengeti Plains.
I think maybe we should consider one of those trips, Mari.
I think we should. Did you bring your balloon here?
No, I haven't. No, I'm just sharing a balloon with some friends from Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Now, getting back to these trips, what does something like that cost?
On the current rate of exchange, it's about $225 US.
That's quite reasonable.
That's not bad considering we have to ship everything out into the African bush to do the job.
How did you ever get into this business?
About 9 years ago, I went flying in a balloon, 60 feet off the ground, look down at the trees, and I thought, this is for me. Loved it.
So that's what you do for a full-time?
Yeah. I've been in Kenya now 4.5 years full-time.
You're originally from England?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we're glad to have people like you here, Mark, and we'd appreciate it if you would spread the word about our Balloon Fiesta.
For sure, I will.
Will you do it?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
There goes Craig Kennedy in our Channel 4 balloon. You can see that little device right there. That is our portable microwave, and that's how they can help transmit the pictures back to Tom and Mari and the rest of us. So they're up and away. Craig Kennedy and Eric Johnson, the official photographer in the KLB TV4 balloon. Tom and Mari.
We should remind the folks to stick around because, as you can see, Craig Kennedy will be providing us some great pictures from up there.
Craig Kennedy and Eric Johnson, as was mentioned, and we do get some beautiful sights from the skies above. We have another guest with us we'd like to introduce to you, George Hahn, the president of the Balloon Fiesta. My gosh, that sounds like a serious title.
Serious title, but awful lot of fun. I mean, the fruits of our labor are paying off. We've had such beautiful weather all week long, and absolutely record crowds every single day, every single event.
That's great.
Now, as president, how busy are you?
Well, we've already started working on 1992 3 months ago.
Really?
Absolutely. We have to start doing our planning. I mean, there's a lot of printing, things we have to do, plan the event, what kind of events we're going to be running, adding new ones, start scheduling things for the field. We have a full-time staff of 9 people, 30 members on the board of directors. We have several hundred volunteers working on committees. It's a full-time job.
By this time of the year, are you just exhausted with the Balloon Fiesta on day 8 here?
On day 8, on the afternoon of day 9, I'll go get reacquainted with my pillow.
Now, what kind of personality traits does one need to be a president, George?
Oh, a little gregarious, I think.
I bet.
Probably about like being a news personality.
Now, I know that we are looking for new sites and ways to expand the Balloon Fiesta. I'd heard about a $300,000 study that is, I guess, looking at different areas. Is that what?
That's true. The state legislature this past year passed a bill allocating $300,000 to the Tourism Economic Development Division to study and plan for a new multi-use park. It would host the Fiesta, but they're looking at using a number of things, perhaps a velodrome or flea markets or a place for our auto shows and things like that. If you're watching on television, you're probably a whole lot better off than many people are. There's still traffic out here. The field is absolutely full. All of our parking lots, I've been told, are now full. That's the thing we're trying to do is to expand where we can take it all.
If you were to move, where would be some of the sites?
We're looking at a number of sites. Basic parameters, one is accessibility. In other words, be able to get into the site. Visibility, we want to keep the balloons in Albuquerque. And weather, of course, the best weather we can have is as close to the valley as possible. And about right in this area is perfect for us. As you can see, we've got the box this morning is available and everybody's flying. So,
ideally, I've heard that Fiesta officials would like to be able to have a space that could accommodate 1,000 balloons and 125,000 spectators.
That's true, plus all their cars and concessionaires. Ooh. We're at 630 balloons out here and no room left. The folks at AMAFCA this year, the Albuquerque Metropolitan Area Flood Control Authority, allowed us to move some fences back and increase the size of this field. So it's worked real well.
I was looking up into the sky just a moment ago, just thinking how darn pretty this is. Sometimes we get so caught up in talking and interviewing people that we neglect to look up there, and that's the real reason we're here, and it is just gorgeous out here this morning.
And there you see a gorgeous shot from our balloon cam.
Craig Kennedy, our KOB 10 o'clock producer, is up in that balloon. He is one of the most enthusiastic people we know. He's just always out selling ballooning.
There you see one of the special shaped balloons. Well, you saw it a moment ago. It was the clown, and now you're seeing the bottom of the shoe. We have more special shapes at this Fiesta assembled than anywhere in the world.
That's true. We've worked very, very hard. Our committee chairman and board member Mark Sullivan has been working all year long trying to get more and more special shapes here. Originally we had 48 register, we had 42 show up. Had some in Europe that couldn't quite make it, and we continue to try to get more and more. If you were out here or watching last night, again, record crowds out here.
You know, this year you had something new. You called it Albuquerque Aloft, where you had balloons go off from a couple of different places in town. That was a new event. What can you do in the future to bring us some new activities, new events?
Bring us some ideas. We're always looking, you know,
Right.
and we're trying. But seriously, if you happen to have an idea of something that would work with balloons and help and bring a little more exposure for the city of Albuquerque and state of New Mexico, call our office.
We'll call you, George.
We'll listen.
George, we're going to ask you to stay with us for just a minute while we check in with the ever-enthusiastic Craig Kennedy up in the KOB Balloon.
Oh, it's a beautiful morning. I'm happy to be alive. You were waiting for that, weren't you?
I was.
It's a great day. Did George happen to tell on me what I did Wednesday?
Craig said, did you tell on him about what he did on Wednesday?
I'm not going to tell on Craig about anything.
I think he's almost asking you to, George.
Well, as a matter of fact, I'll tell
I'm not real sure. I know what he's talking about right now.
Okay, hang on one second, Craig. Are you gonna come clean here?
Sure, I'll come clean with you.
Okay.
You know, during a week of flying balloons in Fiesta conditions, you will learn a lesson or two. As a matter of fact, you learn a lesson every time you go flying a hot air balloon. At any rate, Wednesday, it's key grab day. We go over to the North Gravel Pit, and we go ahead and inflate with everyone else, and then the balloon meister comes on and says, we're on hold. Let's not launch right now. The winds are too brisk over at the field. Well, we'd already kind of inflated the balloon with cold air. So, once we go on hold, I start to pull the vent open rather than ripping out the top of my balloon and letting it fully deflate. I figured, hey, if we can sit here without any problem on the ground, we will. I had a false sense of security. I had 6 people, I believe, holding the crown line so that the balloon was perfectly stable on the ground. It wasn't rolling around and flailing in the wind like it should have been. And all of a sudden, the tie-down rope snapped. I had about 20 pilots and crew people on top of the balloon, stopping it from going forward.
Our guest, George Hahn, the president of the Balloon Fiesta. I say that with a little frown, as if we should be sitting up straighter when we say that. You were saying that when you were watching Craig Kennedy, our pilot, talk to us earlier, that you could tell he was a good pilot from watching him talk to us.
Well, Mari, one of my other jobs, I'm an FAA pilot examiner. I give the pilots their check rides, and one of the things we watch for is if the pilots are paying attention to what they're doing. If you watched Craig when we were doing the shot, he never looked in the camera. He was looking right, left, down, up. He's flying in a lot of traffic, and it's very intense, so he was noticing what was going on and paying attention, and he should be commended for doing that.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, we know he is a good pilot. You went up with him a couple weekends ago, didn't you, Mike?
I sure did. And I'm scared of heights, and I survived, so...
George, we're going to cut you loose. We know that you want to get out there and do some more mingling and do whatever else the president does. We want to thank you for seeing us.
The president is going to go fly in the third wave.
Oh, good
wife
for
and
you.
I've got a beautiful balloon out here, so we're going to go have some fun.
And which is your balloon, so we'll know to look
hot
for you.
pink with big red fox on it, holding a champagne goblet.
All righty.
All right.
George, thanks.
We also have a camera up in our KOB balloon. That's where our pilot, Craig Kennedy, is, along with photographer Eric Johnson.
We sure do, and we're going to be checking in with them throughout the morning. We're so glad you could join us for Skyward 91.
In fact, we're going to check in with him right now. I tossed it to you. I thought you were going to...
Well, there you go.
There it is. Come on.
Good morning. Sorry.
Hello.
Well, I'm trying to do 3 things at the same time. I'm trying to talk with you guys, and I'm sorry that's going to be at the bottom of the list. I'm trying to fly a balloon, and I'm also changing fuel tanks at the moment. So, get this one tight here, and I'm going to crack a valve. And then let's see. Oh, that's a great sound. Hold on, I need to burn just a moment. That means we get to stay up a little longer, guys.
You know, every year we welcome a lot of people to Albuquerque. For this year's Fiesta, they're expecting about 1.2 million people, many of them from out of state or out of country. Craig, are you ready to quit your job yet?
No, not at all.
You realize you have to come back to news producing Monday, buddy.
I'm kind of looking forward to that. I miss you guys so much.
All right. Better be there on time, Craig.
I'll be there, I
All
promise.
Right. Great, we'll check in later.
Balloon Fiesta, as I mentioned, is in its 20th year. It started with a birthday party in June of 1971. Sid Cutter bought a balloon to have at a party, and they flew it the next morning.
That's right. There were originally 13 balloons and about 20,000 spectators. Of course, it's grown into a mega event since then. In 1975, there were actually 2 balloon fiestas. There was one in February, and then they decided to have another one in October.
And then in October of '76, they decided that we shouldn't have the World Championships here again, but just fun events. We had the first World Championship here in Albuquerque, and that was a real exciting thing. But they said, you know what? We're just a bunch of crazy folks who want to lift off and have a great time. And so in that year, that stopped. And then in '78, the key grab was introduced.
The key grab. That's where they fly by poles with keys on them, and they try to grab those keys. And you know what? If you get a key, if one of the pilots get a key, then they get to keep the car that goes along with that key. So, of course, that's one of the favorites for the pilots.
Unfortunately, this year the key grab wasn't too successful. There was no Albuquerque box, so the pilots had to take off from north of the field and just hope that they could make it in one fell swoop by, and nobody got the keys, but Bob Corey of Kentucky and Mark Sullivan of Albuquerque got $100 bills. They grabbed them off the poles.
So not a bad deal. The key grab, as Mari said, was introduced in 1978. 9 years later, in '87, we had our first balloon glow.
More than 300 balloons, tens of thousands of spectators, and that's become a favorite over the years.
Yes, the peanut up in the air. There are a lot of pretty interesting balloons flying right now. We want to thank all of the production people who are working with us today, making the show possible. We're beaming our signal all over the world.
You bet. Folks in Japan, folks in Canada, we hear, watched us last weekend. And what a great way to get news about New Mexico out to the world. I mean, this is the site to show them.
I bet folks in places like Germany really appreciate the cowboys who are riding or floating past us right now. I've met a lot of Germans since moving to the Southwest, and they really seem to appreciate the Southwest. I don't know if it's the wide open spaces or the past. I know they have a great interest in our Native Americans.
I know all Europeans are very in awe of all the space we have in this part of the country when they come out to visit us.
Well, it is a little crowded in some of those countries. They don't have quite as much space as we do.
Interesting thing we're seeing this year that we haven't in years past are its flags. There's Miss Penny. Definitely one of the most popular balloons at the Fiesta this year.
This year we had the Special Shapes Rodeo on Thursday and Friday. The rodeo is when we get all these funny-looking balloons together, and all the kids just get a big kick out of that. The place is packed with children. I know the crowd, I think on Thursday was about 80,000, and the vast majority of them are kids.
What's been nice about this Fiesta is we always like to say no injuries, and we can say that this year. Was it the first Saturday or the first Sunday that a balloon got tangled up with some power lines, but there were no problems?
That was the balloon at Rio Grande and Alameda.
Right, I just can't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday.
I can't remember either.
It all becomes a blur, doesn't it?
It really does. When you're getting up at 4:30 in the morning, your head sometimes does not work well. Anyway, as Mari said, no significant problems at all this year. We've had a few balloons getting caught up in power lines, but that's about it.
You know, when we talk about volunteers that put together the Fiesta, there are a lot of volunteers that make it work out here in the field. And then each balloon needs to have a group of volunteers, the crew, to go out and help lay out the balloon and help fill it with air and then chase it, pack it all up, and get it back in the truck. You know, when Sid Cutter was here earlier, he estimated the cost of the cow jumping over the moon there at about $85,000 or $90,000. I've heard estimates as high as $120,000 for that Special Shapes balloon.
I understand we have Rick Sanchez out there willing to talk to us.
Tom and Mari, I've got the 2 Bobs, the human anchors. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
It's not a glorious job, but someone has to do it.
Exactly.
How tough is it?
Well, you just got to put weight on the balloon, but you can't put too much.
All right.
Put too much, you pack too much air, and it gets hot at the top, it tends to roll on you.
All right, Bob. What do you feel like over here just holding on this rope?
Well, you just hope that people get out of the way, because when he starts to burn the hot air, it fills up real quick and stands up real quick, and this drags us right out of here.
All right, the 2 Bobs, the 2 human anchors. It's not a glorious job. Somebody has to do it, but it's a very important job and all part of the Balloon Fiesta. I got to tell you, these guys don't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but they're really getting a lot of work out here, Tom and Mari.
Remember, we have one more day of the Balloon Fiesta. We'll be back here tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, bright and early. We hope you can join us. We'll be broadcasting until 9 o'clock.
Time for us to say goodbye. We'll see you tomorrow.
Get pretty psyched up for the key grab. It's a chance at a few bucks and some new land transportation.
There's two poles with keys, 5 poles with $100 bills attached to them, so hopefully we can get one of those. Preferably the keys, but we'd take $100. But we'll go up north here and observe what the wind's doing and pick a site to come across the field.
This crew and about 100 or so other balloonists headed for the old gravel pits north of the field to launch. But winds kicked up to almost 20 miles an hour. Anything over 10 is not safe to fly.
So we're waiting for the winds to calm down. What we're hoping is by the sun finally coming up, it will heat the earth up and change the wind directions or at least slow them down.
We can fly if we can get off the ground. It's going to be a little rough landing.
Hardly anyone made it off the ground. Winds had balloons flopping around so much, some were damaged by their burners.
Right at that point, it just got a little bit hot, just from the windy inflation this morning.
Do you think it's a good idea that they opened the field up?
It's nice because everybody wants to win a car, but I'm going to say that my decision today is not to fly because it's too windy to take off.
Most of the folks out here called it quits, but a few brave souls like these Oldsmobile people took their chances at winning a Pontiac. Some came close to the keys, but no one came close enough to win a car. Not everyone went home empty-handed, though. 2 balloonists managed to grab $100 bills off the poles. Emil Gonzalez for Skyward 91.
Good morning, folks. Another glorious day out here at the Balloon Fiesta Park. I'm Tom Joles, along with my good friend Mari Bennett, and throughout the morning we're going to meet a bunch of other people, aren't we?
You bet. You know, it sure is a wonderful way to wrap up this anniversary Balloon Fiesta, the 20th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, the last mass ascension, but you know what? It looks like it's going to be a great day. I know one man who would like to do this for another week, our pilot, Craig Kennedy. He produces the 10 o'clock news at Channel 4. He's also flying the Channel 4 balloon. Did I wake you up, Craig?
Yeah, I was just enjoying my little nap here after, I believe, 13 flights over the course of 8 days, and now we'll shoot for 14 flights this morning. I'm a little tired. I think I'll take a week off from ballooning. What do you say?
I think you probably deserve it. I know that you've been working very hard for us and having a good time out there.
Not a bad job, though. Kind of enjoying it.
I would imagine so. Now, a couple of weeks ago at work, you were mentioning how you wanted to fly over the mountain.
I really have. I've looked at that mountain so many times and said, boy, is that beautiful. I'd like to see that from a different perspective. As close as I came to seeing it from that different perspective was Wednesday on Key Grab Day. I didn't do very well as far as tacking in toward the key poles. So I said, all right, let's go up just as high as we can and see what sort of winds we can get a return flow. And we went to 13,500 feet. It's a beautiful view from there. Fortunately, the winds weren't strong enough heading to the east over the mountain, and we didn't have to land on the other side. Actually, the wind this week hasn't been conducive to taking that mountain flight. Of course, that has never been an official AIBF event. A few pilots have just decided that that's something that they want to do, and they're going to take their aircraft way high and go over the top.
Well, it's certainly risky, isn't it?
It certainly is, and I don't really want to talk about fatalities on such a beautiful morning with all these beautiful balloons going up, but about 10 years ago there were 2 fatalities when someone tried to go over the mountain.
In a balloon called the Seagull, right, Steve?
That's right. Yeah, it was a balloon that had actually not passed its inspection and really should not have been flown, you know, any place. But it was balloonists who weren't real experienced who got enthused about doing something that they thought they wanted to do, and unfortunately you can't cut any corners in many things in life, including ballooning.
It's not like mountain ballooning is that rare, though. We do it all over the country, don't we, in mountainous areas like Aspen and...
That's right. Some of the most popular places, Park City, Utah, Aspen, Miles City, Montana, Iowa.
Iowa and Nebraska, precisely.
Is it a little more challenging to fly over a mountain, though?
Yeah, the problem with mountain flying, if you're flying in a group of mountains, I mean, you're already at a great altitude. If you're here in a high mountain desert and then you've got a peak out there, the winds are going to do funny things, and there's such thing as a mountain rotor wave. So what's happening at the crest of that mountaintop, the wind is blowing so hard over the top of it, and it has to go somewhere when it gets across the top of the mountain. Sometimes it'll curl downward, and sometimes the speed of that wind is faster going down than a balloon would have lift to fight.
So be careful.
So you just don't want to do that. You'd have to go well over top. Best thing is, don't fly over mountaintops. If you really think that you have to, go with someone who's done it before. They can teach you a thing or three. After all, you've got a gigantic parachute over your head. You just don't want to be impatient if all of a sudden the sides of your balloon start getting wind that's closing the throat and feel like you have to burn to slow your descent and start burning up the side of your balloon. Eventually, the thing will start to fill out full of air again.
You're looking at the first wave of the last mass ascension here at the 20th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. Now, both of you are familiar with flying special shaped balloons. Steve, of course, flies the Stork balloon, and you have for a couple of years?
Yeah, this is our 3rd Fiesta with the Stork.
And then, Craig, you flew a special shape during the special shape rodeo on Thursday and Friday, right?
The folks from Aerodynamics in Calgary sent down 5 balloons this year, and I was fortunate enough to be asked by Mark Sullivan to fly the PCG propane tank, and it was a real treat, different experience. I wasn't at all certain what to expect, and Mark, understanding that I was doing something totally new, said, hey, let's put you in the propane tank. It will fly very much like a balloon that you're familiar with, and aside from opening the vents and realizing that it was coming down in a big hurry, it flew like a regular balloon, and we had 2 gorgeous flights Thursday evening and then Friday evening.
Well, we're going to let you 2 pilots get out there and do what you do best, and that's fly. We thank you once again. It's been a great 91 Fiesta with you.
It's been
and I guess
fun.
we'll be talking to you a little bit later.
We're going to hope to get airborne and talk to you from the air.
All right, good.
Okay, and Steve, we won't be talking to you until next year again, but thanks for joining us.
Thanks for giving us an opportunity, and thanks to KOB for covering Balloon Fiesta. The board of directors really appreciate all that you do.
Thanks, Steve.
Our pleasure. We've got a couple people with us now, Darlene and Bill Jones, and it's kind of interesting because they have a balloon that's called She Broke Us. What's the story behind the name?
Well, sometime back when we bought the balloon, we were sitting down paying bills one night. We were still trying to come up for a name for it, and it just sort of happened that I made the comment that she broke us, and all of a sudden we had a name.
That's right.
So you had to sell the house and get a balloon. Pay for the balloon.
Now, you folks fly for Southwest.
Yes, sir, do. Southwest Airlines.
So does that mean you get to travel all over? And
we've been to quite a few places this year. Reno and
St. Louis.
here, of course, St. Louis, just all over. We really enjoy working with Southwest Airlines. They're great.
Now, we understand that you now live near Dallas, but you've decided to come back to Albuquerque?
We're moving back home, guys.
Tell us back home. Tell us why you're moving back home.
Well, I actually have to work for a living to help pay for the hobby. So I work for a company that sells computer-aided engineering systems, and they're moving me back here to Albuquerque now.
I suppose you missed this city, didn't you?
Oh.
Yeah, we missed it a lot.
Thanks for joining us. Now you have to get up and get your balloon going, don't you?
I got to.
All right.
It's time.
Bill and Darlene, thanks.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
You know, we're trying to introduce this man, but you can't help but laugh a little bit. He's the respectable balloon meister, but you're just not looking very respectable, Dick Butterfield.
In fact, they're calling him, what, Mr. Stupid? Is
Captain
that?
Stupid.
Captain Stupid.
Captain Stupid masquerades for 8 days as the mild-mannered balloon meister in white.
Right.
But on the last day, the true colors appear, and he has to come out and train all the pilots one last time.
Boy, and you sure are colorful.
You were having a tough time with those purple tights. We saw you yanking on them over there, Dick.
Now I understand how ladies work with these things.
So, what's the story in this weird outfit?
Well, it's Captain Stupid has ding-dong school every morning at pilots briefing, and we talk about the dumb things that the pilots have done. And that's how Captain Stupid came to be. He has a little bell, and he calls Plasta session every morning and talks about cutting wheelies in alfalfa fields and fences and landing in trees and bouncing off buildings and things like this. And so, but he can't stand it. He has to come out in his true colors on the last day.
Okay, let's get serious now, Mr. Official Balloon Meister. How'd it go this year?
Absolutely beautiful. We have our little dings and nips at things around for the past week, but it has just been an absolute fantastic 9 days of flying.
Now, we understand that after being the big kahuna for 2 years, the Balloon Meister, you've decided to pass that title on to someone else?
That's correct. This is my last year being a Balloon Meister. Next year I'm going to have even a lot more fun. I'm going to fly in this colorful circus.
So what are we going to do with that outfit? Are you going to also pass that on to someone? About your same body size?
Well, I've offered this, but the other gentleman says he doesn't think he looks good in purple.
Well, you're a weirdo, an oddball. But you're always entertaining, and we know that for the last 2 years you've done a great job as Balloon Meister, and we congratulate you.
It has truly been an honor. It has been fun, and on to somebody else next year.
Okay. All right. KOB TV4 balloon piloted by Craig Kennedy. It looks like it's going to be going up fairly soon. Obviously has to wait for all the balloons around it to clear, and the launch director says go.
Craig Kennedy is the pilot. He's going to take us up to show us what it looks like up there.
Up to the right. The woman waving in the red is his wife and his crew chief, Jane Kennedy.
And that very tall guy you see there holding the gondola is our Shane Whitehead. He works in our sports department. You've probably seen him on the air a time or two.
And you see Chris Wood aiming his camera right at our camera, which is aiming at him.
A lot of cameras aiming at other cameras.
There you go.
In a moment, we're going to talk to Craig.
You know, this is an interesting sensation, the liftoff right here. I've flown 3 times in balloons now, and as I've mentioned numerous times, I have a little fear of heights. And this is really the only hard part for me when you're coming off the ground like this and you realize everything's getting very small. Once you're up there, it is so still and so serene, and there's no movement unless somebody's jumping around in the basket. It's really very comfortable.
Yeah, it is. Earth to Craig. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me, Tom and Mari?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. Like I told you earlier, the surface winds are extremely light. And trying to get out off of this field is quite a little trick, because the balloons are just barely leaving the field and then they kind of hang here. And that is not particularly safe, but we have some great safety officials, launch directors, who are watching all of the air traffic over our heads. Now, it's my job to see what the traffic is above me, because I don't want somebody's basket coming down on the top of my balloon.
Right. We have a shot there, Craig. We see you from below is what we're looking at now. We have to wait until Craig turns the burner up.
What was I really excited about?
You were excited about piloting in your first Fiesta. This is now the last day. Is it a little sad for you? This is your last mass ascension.
It is sad, Mari. I really am sad to see it go. I mean, we've had such beautiful mornings, fantastic weather. We've been blessed, and I'm sad to see it go.
Craig, what has been the highlight of this week for you?
Mass ascensions by far.
You know, when you mention ballooning in this country, you have to bring up Albuquerque. It is truly the hub of this sport in the entire country, in fact, the entire world. Ballooning didn't start here, but we've pretty much taken over.
Certainly Albuquerque can lay claim to a number of events in ballooning history. The late Ben Abruzzo and the late Max Anderson, along with Larry Newman, crossed the Atlantic in a helium balloon in 1978. That was Double Eagle 2. And then in 1980, Dr. Carol Reimer Davis of Albuquerque set a new world's record in the AX5 category. The AX5 is one of the smaller balloons. And she went up more than 31,000 feet in a hot air balloon near Albuquerque. And then in 1981, Ben Abruzzo, Larry Newman, and Ron Clark of Albuquerque, who Emil interviewed earlier in the program, also Rocky Aoki, became the first to make a trans-Pacific crossing in a helium balloon.
Not only has Albuquerque produced some pretty famous pilots, it's also produced one heck of a balloon fiesta. It started 20 years ago. We are celebrating the 20th anniversary this year. It started out with about 20,000 spectators in a parking lot somewhere, and now it's grown to 1.2 million people from all over the world. It is truly the big one.
Now we're going to go up into the skies over Albuquerque and check in with pilot Craig Kennedy. How's it look, Craig? Hi, Craig.
It's gorgeous. We're getting some of that nice sun coming through the broken clouds. I was watching Richard Abruzzo, who left right next to me, and he left the field and tracked along the ground from the ways, and he went soaring up pretty high, and now he's starting to cross back over the field. I like that idea. That reverse box, and we can get that kind of flight profile. I'm right now at about 6,600 feet and just at a cruise altitude. We're barely starting to come back down now, so I'm going to start burning just a little.
That loud noise is, of course, Craig putting some heat into his balloon.
We have a couple of interesting guests with us, Charlie Hines, and Charlie flies the Mama Feel Good School of Love, which is a balloon, of course. And on the other side, to my left, is Jan Biefeld.
Yes.
And it's interesting because she runs a school for romance.
That's correct.
Okay, and what do you do at a school for romance?
You learn how to be romantic.
Do people need to learn how to be romantic? A lot of people just don't know how to be romantic?
I think that's true. I work with singles, mostly people who are 30 plus.
All right. Now, what do you find they're lacking when it comes to romance?
A balloon.
Sometimes they just don't know how to get acquainted with people, how to make friends, how to make the relationship move into romance. Many times they're divorced or they've never been married, and they need a little schooling for romance.
Need a little boost.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily a romance problem then, it's just a relating problem.
Yes.
Okay.
Healthy love.
Well, now, you guys know all about love with your balloon. You get a lot of attention because it has such a funny name.
That's right, and a lot of attention because it's hot pink, and all of our crew is dressed in their hot pink outfits, and a fun and a very exuberant crew, I can tell you, because they're always in the middle of it.
Charlie, you're also on the board of directors.
Yes.
How long have you been doing that?
Well, I was the first president of Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta, Inc., back when we incorporated back in '76, and have been on the board since that time, and started flying in about 1975 or 76, and on our third balloon now, Mama Feel Good School of Love.
Now, Mari was asking me earlier, Charlie, if I knew where this School of Love was because she wanted to visit it.
Oh, yeah, Tom.
It doesn't really exist. It doesn't really exist, does it?
No, it doesn't.
All right.
Only in our mind.
Darn it.
Now, how come you're not... we're happy you're here, but aren't you supposed to be out flying your balloon?
Well, my wife Jenny is flying the balloon today,
okay.
And she has a lot of passengers. She's going to try to stop or land and change passengers several times, so give all the crew a chance to fly.
So you're in the last wave then this morning?
That's right.
There you're looking at the Klondike Bear, and is it a big one? Would you like to run into one of those in the wild?
Skyward 91 wrapping up of this 20th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta.
We have about 10 more minutes to go before we wave goodbye for another year.
That's the bottom of the shoe, the famous footwear shoe. You hear a giggle? That's Emil Gonzalez. Up here with us?
Yes, out of the crowds. I feel so safe up here.
Did you have a good time out there?
It was wonderful, but you know, when we're walking around, when we're doing this live report, we have to be connected by an umbilical cord to you all, and we're trying to make our way through these thousands of people out here. As you can see, it's quite a bit of people out here, and We're trying to make our way and talk to people, but it really is a lot of fun, and we get the opportunity to meet such wonderful, interesting people, and a lot of interesting knowledge we pick up out here at the Balloon Fiesta.
You know, Emil is a skinny mini, but I know that when she is out on the field, she is always eating.
What's your favorite food out here?
Well, I've sampled almost all the breakfast burritos, but I still tend to go towards the cinnamon rolls.
No.
The cinnamon rolls are really hard to beat.
They're killing us, Emil. They're right next to us.
And the rush of sugar, yeah, it wafts over here all the time.
It does. There you're looking at that famous footwear balloon that Mari just mentioned.
And that's the one that had the banner hanging off of it on Thursday saying, "Julie, will you marry me?" And then on Friday, a banner that said, "Julie said yes."
Oh.
Some nice pictures there floating around in those baskets. Boy, isn't that fun, Mari?
It was great fun a couple weeks ago.
And Mari is trying to take a picture of us, but of course she's only 1 foot from our face. She's got the camera shoved in our face, and we have all these elongated faces.
I have a giant picture of Emil and
No,
our
my
pilot,
nose.
Craig Kennedy.
Our noses.
That's it.
We've all had a good time, haven't we?
We sure have, and thanks for joining us. It's been another fun fiesta, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. It's been fun for all of us in the set. It's been fun for the people out in the field like Emil Gonzalez and Bill Eisenhood and Rick Sanchez and Steve Stucker and all the other folks who have chipped in.
And before we go, I just want to again compliment our production crew, the best photographers, the best behind-the-scenes folks you can find anywhere.
And we should also say thanks to our Craig Kennedy, who's been up in the sky a good part of the Balloon Fiesta, giving us the expert commentary and waxing
that's been really
poetic.
enjoyable.
Yeah.
You just tapped me. Did you want to say something before we go?
No, I was just feeling your arm, Mari. This fine leather coat, I wanted to see what it felt like.
You folks have a great Sunday. Thanks again for joining us on Skyward 91.
See you again next year.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it, and it's yours to keep and enjoy again and again. We hope you've enjoyed the 1991 Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta.
We hope this program gives you all kinds of terrific memories, and we hope you can join us next year for the 21st Balloon Fiesta. Until then, I'm Tom Joles.
And I'm Mari Bennett. See you soon.
Bye.